Welcome everyone. Touch the leg. We will start in a while. We'll wait for 2 minutes for everyone to join. Welcome everyone. We will start in a while. We'll wait for a minute or two for everyone to join. Welcome. We will start in a while.
Never. I mean, never.
Is somebody's audio on? I think we could hear some sound in the background. So I request everyone to mute. Kishila, we'll wait for a minute. I think more people are joining. I can see.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, most of them have joined. So I think we can start, Keshala.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, Keshala, we don't. Yeah, we have Tenzin Lakpala here as a translator. Yes. Okay, thank you for joining. Okay, we will start, Keshala, right? Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon, Tashidalek. I'm Rinalini, a volunteer with Mile Jamtse. On behalf of our center, I welcome all of you for the precious teachings on Arya Tara practice in daily life by Venerable Geshe Lobsang Tenzin. A little bit of history of our center to all those who are new here. Jamtse Tibetan Buddhist Center was established by Geshe Lobsang Tenzin in 2018, located in the bustling city of Mumbai, India. The name Mile Jamtse translates to the love and compassion of medicine Buddha, reflecting the center's mission to promote healing, compassion, and spiritual growth. Recognizing the therapeutic benefits of Buddhist practices like mindfulness, meditation, compassion, wisdom, and mind training, Geshe-la offers these teachings to help individuals achieve emotional healing and cultivate inner peace amidst the pressures of modern life. Mile Jamtse Tibetan Buddhist Center aims to provide not only a spiritual refuge but also a pathway to great emotional well being for all who seek it. For those who are new here, I'm sharing brief about our teacher, Venerable Geshe Lobsang Tenzin. Geshe Lobsang Tenzin joined Sera J Monastic University in 1994, where he continued his studies in Buddhist psychology. In 2016, he completed a Geshe Lobsang degree, which is a PhD in Buddhist philosophy. Geshe also participated in certificate programs with Emory Tibet Science Initiative, Science Leadership, and Science Meets Dharma program, where he studied Western philosophy, maths, biology, chemistry, physics, and neuroscience. In 2017, he went to Gyunme Tantra College for 1 year to study Tantra. Geshe has been in Mumbai since June 2018, and Geshe teaches Buddhist philosophy, psychology, and meditation, etc. in Mumbai. About our translator Tenzin Lakwala, he has been helping our center for more than 1 year with the translation of the courses happening online. And for more information on our center, please visit our website www.milletjamse.com. I will put this link in the chat box soon. Now I request everyone to join me for prayers. I'll share my screen. I hope you all can see the screen. It's visible and readable. Okay. Okay. Taking refuge and generating bodhicitta. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Now let us do four immeasurables. May all sentient beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May all sentient beings be free of suffering and the cause of suffering. May all sentient beings not be separated from the bliss that is free of suffering. May all sentient beings live in equanimity, free from attachment and hatred towards those near and far. May all sentient beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May all sentient beings be free of suffering and the cause of suffering. May all sentient beings not be separated from the bliss that is free of suffering. May all sentient beings live in equanimity, free from attachment and hatred towards those near and far. May all sentient beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May all sentient beings be free of suffering and the cause of suffering. May all sentient beings not be separated from the bliss that is free of suffering. May all sentient beings live in equanimity, free from attachment and hatred towards those near and far. Now I request Venerable Geshe Lobsang Tenzin to take over for the precious teachings on Arya Tara practice in daily life. Thank you.
관계 도쟁에서는 나와 tum제 범죄제 담배 신의 된다고 도담된다 처제로 나들레메 주변지 셔티 빼먹다 pomagala dada deme yumla 처제로 Thank you, Minalaji. So introduction our center was and prayer. Also to everyone. Today we have a special session. So I'm going to talk about how to practice Arya Tara in our daily life. So also I'm going to talk in Tibetan. So Tenzin Lakpala is here. Tenzin Lakpala is excellent translator. So that's why we today's session will uh, uh, successfully what we taught. Okay. 다 된다 다 드린 건 저기 지진 드라마게 네 남내 재단대 콜시에 무슨 다 지단 망보직이다 지진 드라마스는 군유요다 지진 드라마스 코바라 이나다 대 남내 가셔질라 양때 있지 하코인도 코레스 다나 지진 드라마게 남내 재단대 건절로 아니 케벤 가려야지 담보에 네 dinner 고전의 쉐인스
So, Geshe said that as today we're going to talk about the practices of Arya Tara, and then every one of you must have heard of Arya Tara, and definitely some of you are already familiar with a bit or fraction of the practice of the Arya Tara. So therefore, today's session, we're going to mainly talk about the theme of the practice of Arya Tara, and we're going to begin our session by talking about the benefits of practicing of the Arya Tara.
시단 다 되잖아요. 남반 최념래 제가 가도 시단계 딱 저기 한번 보시오 요바체. 근데 라소소소량 믹사이 제주도. 그래서 제가 다 집중 전반양 제잖아. 시럽부터 돌려요. 채도 보고체. 근데 버버제레도 보자셔 나 시럽 뭐 닝제라. 지금 닝제 아니 냠내 제가는요. 믹사하게 하는 거거든요. 다한 내생다 지도도 맞아도 되는 당한테 틀려 클래스. 틀려 더 틀려 가래 두배나다 지도도마 대안에 믹사야 신도 체도 봐봐야 소소라니 누버트베 요르스.
So, generally speaking, in the entire Buddhist ritualistic aspect, we have numerous deities. And so these numerous deities, they have specific characteristic and they have specific sort of benefit when we practice them. For example, Manjushri, the practice of Manjushri is used for the profound development of the wisdom. The practice of Avalokiteshvara is done to develop the profound compassion or karuna. And similarly, the practice of the Aryatara brings a great deal of fulfillment and the accomplishment of one's desires and aspiration.
대신에 당한 저게 안에 지진도 말아 안에 소반물람 따와이나 안에 소저게 안에 그대 가라이나 안에 드립트비게 안에 딘데그 누바요르스. 답배차샤나 간저게 삼자랑 완전 류지 나자용 거. 류지 나자용 괜찮네 안에 소소 강한 뭐 못해 거. 어딘데 영어 매영어 저도 안에 지진도 말아 안에 소소바다 와이나 류지 나자던 용트를 속바다야 몽발라 류지 나자 마용을 속 딘데게 잡아요르스.
And so, to supplicate, when we supplicate to Aryatara, what it does is that it brings about wish fulfillment and fulfillment of our aspiration and desires. For instance, usually in our day-to-day life, there are numerous physical ailments that we face or experience. And because of these physical ailments, it sort of acts as an obstacle towards completion of our desires or our aspiration. So therefore, when we supplicate to Arya,
못 걸으셨어.
okay, so when we supplicate and when we practice and supplicate to the Aryatara, what it does is that it brings forward the wish fulfillment and fulfillment of our desires and aspiration. So therefore, when we do that, what happens is that all our aspiration and wishes, it comes true. For instance, in our day-to-day life, most of us have experienced sickness and illness. And so these physical ailments, as we see, what they do is that they tend to bring a lot of obstacles towards fulfillment of a desire. When we try to apply ourselves in a particular action, these physical ailments, they sort of function as an obstacle towards these things. Therefore, supplicating to Aryatara, what happens is that even these sort of physical ailment and sickness, they become less and less in our life so that we can apply our body towards a particular cause and it could bring us the fulfillment of our aspiration and desires.
다 대사 맞아 류지 되게 강하자 맞아 안에 샘제 돌아야 먼저게 안에 샘제 안에 둥아 뭐 쇼정도 용되고 사텐조 영야지 망보지 가시지 안에 소속에다 남체 아진도 안에 족대체다 참사는 능미다 안에 따다 메테게 전에 sem나나 강한 뭐 못해요. 근데 가시 양한테 내가 쳤어. 양한테 내가 쳤어. 내가 양 강아. 내가 약고 매워. 양 참사는 내가 약고 연나야 근데 내가 챙겨던 로봇 약고 매워다. 양 참사는 양 로봇 약고 내가 약고나 강을 된 게지 다 딱버죠. 뭐서 저든지 아니 약고 매워. 근데 내슈 뭐 제가 되느냐 sem나나 강아 태도 뭐 매워. 양 가시 양 잡고 편지 참란 맞아서 강아 나 참산에 벤저 속에 강아 다가내 이제 참들 롭종나 롭종 정게나 롭종데 다다 material 속에 강아 강아 뭐 쉬어지 셈난 태디 저제 되들 때네 안에 셈나나 강아 태도라 디제 태도야 먼저 지들도 말라 안에 소범람 다바이나 근데 강아도 세트비 뉴버여레 근데 강아 용도를 속에 뉴버여레
And not only these physical ailments, as you see, supplicating to Arya Tara also dissolves a lot of obstacles and suffering that is pertaining to our mental state. So, for instance, as Geshe said, for instance, let's say that we must understand that many of these suffering that we experience, many of them also are incited by our peers and people that we surround ourselves with, such as our family members, our friends, and such. For instance, let's say that you have a job. And let's say that this job is something that you don't desire a lot. So, because of that, there's a constant mental pressure that builds up in your mind that gives you a great deal of suffering. Now, let's say you like your job, but your colleagues are not very kind towards you. This too builds up a great deal of mental pressure and suffering to you. Now, let's say that both your job is good and your colleagues are very cooperative. Then you have those supervisors who tend to abuse their power in order to make you feel suffering. And so we see that with these many different factors, there are numerous factors that could add up to the mental pressure. The conflict with friends, conflict with parents, having financial difficulties, and if you're a student, not being able to study and comprehend the concept while you're studying it, not getting an efficient result to the hard work that you have put into. All of these things come together, and as they come together and bulk together, they sort of they sort of push a lot of pressure on put a lot of pressure on you, and this results into a mental suffering. So therefore, supplicating to the Aryatara can also relieve you of these kind of suffering, which pertains to the mental suffering due to many different factors that cause a pressure towards your mental state or mental being.
됐어. 그냥 가시야다. 근데 강한 매바이나 다 벤저다 롭정도 시상. 야도 뭐 요에나 야 셈난 야 데데 된절라 속보다. 소소게 가려 요바들라데 대바망하고 다데 초시에드네 매wan게 야 셈난라야 디스 내슈스나 메도 셈난라 강한 뭐지 아니 용대바 땡상한테 통동하래다. 된절라 속보다 강아지가 저게 막 당가지 와이나 저예요 말다 된저.
And even in certain case, we see that some people, they may not have, let's say, any difficulty pertaining their job, their colleagues, their supervisor. They may not have any problem regarding financial problem. They may have a good family, but still, even those people, we see that in our day-to-day life, very apparently, that sometimes they suffer mentally due to comparison. They compare themselves with others, and because of that compare and envy, we see that they constantly suffer. So therefore, these kind of suffering may also appear or emerge from these kind of comparison. And thus, supplicating to the Aryatara can also dissolve these manner of suffering.
근데 제가 대단 간적이 아니 지진도 말라 근데 소밤람 다발라 소보다 근데 좀 냠내 잡아나 강하던 먼저 세트 그랬어요 근데 쉬어라 다이나 지나 근데 해나다 지진도 마다 아니 컨데스레 진짜 장 뒤바질라 병거라 지진도 마다 컨데레 담마직 산제 지금 막 땅샤 받던데 왜 야나데 지 클라도 지 쥐바던데 땡샤 바래 컨데레서 양sem나나 근데 독바질라 병거라.
And so when we look at the benefits of supplicating to Aryatara, many different questions may arise in our mind. Foremost would be the question saying, who is Aryatara? What should we consider as Arya Tara? Is Arya Tara someone that has been sent down to this to the samsara by the Buddha? Is Arya Tara a manifestation of a goddess or a deity? What can be what is the entity, or what is the Arya Tara? This is the first question that arises in our mind.
됐습니다. 당한저 지난게 다 단대게 까와들었잖아. 아니 까와 대왕도 제가 있나다. 아니 산제 동패 그래서 단다 좀 샤게도 와대. 아니 산제 시버지. 아니 되게 템바게 세대 잡아 잡아나. 아니 템바데 롱아동 땅아동 아동 녀동 앞에서 도사라. 네 녀동 앞에 제라 아니 잡아 참바게 된데 템바페 그래서 뭐 딘데지 안에 남전나라야 딘데게 어제다 다트스 뭐나 민도 딘데게 안에 지 여러 다도 로 딩글 안에 산제 순바데 안데레스 유송제 근데 샤제도 봐 근데 주망아 와데 안에 데 잡아 참바 딘데 피고스
And so, before understanding the Aryatara, we must understand that in the cycle of great eon that we are currently in, it is said that they will be descending of 1,000 excellent Nirmanakayas of Buddhas. And these 1,000 Buddhas will come and they will turn their own wheel of Dharma. So currently being the fourth, which is the Buddhist Shakyamuni, who has turned 3 wheels of Dharma, and the next being the Maitreya. So therefore, in this cycle of the great eon, it is said that there are going to be in total 1,000 of those excellent Nirmanakaya Buddha, in which the fourth is the Shakyamuni, and the one that will come later will be Maitreya.
딘데지다 딘데 이도잖아 다어 산제 딩을야 까봐 심바증을라 네 산제 나타세지다 제대로 감는 전에 그런 게 최저 걸로 거벽에 딘데게 디충을 다 산제 나타세지 셀 인진나다 제 컨테이너 한번 나타세지 그거는 특급도 휴전되게 된 것들 랍션 대제 대가서 안에 잡아지 그래 잡아되게 보모 잡에 세머지 세머되면라네 다벨라마 세모데 여러 세모데면 안데 가서나 에시다 봤어. 세모데면 에시다 봤어도 별거는 에시다 봤지. 에시다 보면은 안데 창사에다 철을 대바시고 여더버저다 철을 대바시고 자 안에 산제다 전주서 망보질라 로 망보제 니고 샵도 셔버치 쉬는데 손남 랍셔버 덴베가 안에 보면 채고르스.
So similar to this eon, great eon, in the previous great eon, there was at that time there was a Tathagata known as Tathagata Ngata. And during his sort of time of turning of wheel of Dharma, there was a spiritual king who had a daughter called Princess Hishidawa. And so she was someone who was deeply religious. And in her lifetime, she had served countless Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. She had served and put her and given offerings to countless Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, because of which she accumulated immeasurable amount of merits.
대수는 담모란 걸 너무 뭐 저지 다들에 안에 손남 랍쳐 뭐 쇼사도 되는 단 이메지 결론적이 뭐라는 데인데 쉬다 결혼대 당원에 다 손남 쇼사집에 간사레스 다 계속 저랑게 네 몰람 잡네 어제나 범부터 풀 주로 주바 쇼스는 몰람 잡나야 저나 드롭토야 같은데 그 단단한 부차야 같이 누가 요레스 어디래서 봐 쉬다 아니 딜레나 아니 세모 에셰다와 가르송서나 땅아 뷰데나 안 상제와 몽보체 제도스 나 범에데나 디데스 용어도 대수상 알아 범어랑 게 텔라 범에랑 게 텔라니 가와체나 상제와 책이 있어 고 상제와 마서 상제베 제라 고 못동 받아니 샘제가 던치기 있어 딘데게 네 뭐랑 게 담자도 샤이스.
And during that time, a bhikshu, an ordained monk bhikshu, came to her and told her, "You seem to be a very meritorious person. You have accumulated unmeasurable merits. So therefore, if you were to make this wish and dedication on the power of the merits that you have accumulated, that may I be reborn as a male, then this particular wish will come true immediately, and you will immediately transform into a male." And then, as an answer, as a reply to the ordained monk, the Princess Hishidawa said, I have seen countless male attaining enlightenment and becoming a Buddha. So now I make this vow to myself that I shall attain enlightenment as in the female incarnate. I shall attain Buddhahood in the female body and female incarnation. And so at that very moment, she made an unshakable, unwavering vow to attain enlightenment as a female.
된대서 다 최념내 흉점 시버쳐와나 된대게 뉴베왕게 아니 부드 범을 주어라서 범을 불을 주어 누버요 다 된사야 다 먼저게 지도나는다야 치르게 예절라서 뭐 전제 안에 트랜스젠더 세저다 베트 또 송셔웠다 아니 소소 랑싱 엄마때 보이나야 범을 차에 되었으면 나야 되잖아 범을 송게로 랑싱 엄마 땅 집에 엄마데 범어이나야 불러봤어요 내 의대네 주세요다 단자게 내던 사람 다 최근 냠는 거 다 zet도 올라와나 근데 또 손담면 거 하나 소소게 뭐람 잡는 남자 드르드게 근데 있는 거예요.
So as you see that by accumulating in those days, by accumulating great deal of merits, any aspiration could be fulfilled, such as how the ordained monk suggested. If someone wanted to, if a woman wanted to become a man, they could simply wish based on the merits and turn into a man. If a man wanted to become a woman, they could wish upon their merits and turn into a woman. This was possible in those days, in those times. But still, these days we see that unlike that, we have the advancements of science, medical science, which enables someone to transform themselves from a male to a female or a female to a male, which we call a transgender. This is done so as they feel that innately they feel that they are trapped into a wrong body, and thus they want to manifest themselves in their sort of like the real identity. But this in turn costs a lot physically and financially and also mentally. But if you were to be in those times and were able to attain a great deal of merits, you could just aspire and supplicate, and you could turn immediately into a male if you wanted to, or a female if you wanted to. So that was the power of merit in those times.
근데 이제 다 내가 다 해다 와서 그 범어데 뭐란 게 아니 안 못했네 아주 최 냠네 셔부체네 담마드는 심지 먹먹지 아니 코발라만 돼 근데게 아니 내주 총 내주서는 근데게 중요해 근데 다 생활하라네 드라마선 심지 먹먹지 코발라 퇴배 전에 드라마서 이거 명대 근데 총레스
And so she persevered in her practice of dharma. And in the long years of practice and perseverance, she was able to liberate countless beings from the cycle of samsara. So the Tibetan word for liberation is til, and the one who does it is called dul, the one who liberates. And since it was done in the female incarnation, we use the Tibetan term dul ma. Ma, which is a particle very similar to the the Indian grammatical system where we have the strilinga. So it's the female, which is ma. So the one who liberates, that is in the female incarnation, called Dulma. So therefore she was renowned as Dulma, the female incarnation that liberates the sentient beings.
된전에 다데 안에 지진 드라마사 다파 직당샤 버튼 많이 받자 땅가모 도저 뭐뭐 쉬어지라는데 심지 주망하자도 오체 아주 소소게 줄여예베게 안에 상제 레글러 소버도 야세네 안에 최념네 체네 담아들라는 상제버 내단사 마사 안에 코 마동보다 안에 뭐랑 변면할 때네 안에 심제 탐제 안에 심제 된도 타바다 코발레 타벨라는 거보다 코발레 퇴베게 근데 책에서 담자샤원은 단대값이냐 근데 소소게 레타와이나 근데 제게 디요르스
And so as she persevered and then later attained enlightenment, She made the vow that she will remain in the female incarnate as till the end of the very samsara to liberate everyone from this samsara. And so this particular wish and aspiration was fulfilled upon her vow. And this is also very possible even in this day if one should persevere and take the commitment to be enlightened as a female and then persevere in liberating the sentient beings and remain in the female incarnation until the samsara ends.
대체 답변하자는 안쪽에 조직 반대에 드셨어요. 네. 날랜다게 이렇게 왕래. 근데 그런 이해돼. 데려다 웨스트 벵갈도 된대게 자고지게 세례도. 대체 치수 안에 날랜다라 슈 이렇게 왕자 되네 치수. 도제되는 님의 패드에 가서 도제되는 것도만 성주 주서라. 도마 성주 되겠다. 송춘데 저랑 오늘 별라 배고도. 별라 배봐이나 땜바다 주베네. 랍심을 도도서래서. 된대게 롱대페네. donde chisun ane choj pande tisha ne phela phene ane sanje ta ma hang sa yang tindege tabe nang yore to wasem je ma mo chel hang sa ya thanda boda ne phen to yora denjol so boda ta drama ge ane so so ge ane theba ta tinde yo ba na yungors de
And illustration of vision of Arya Tara is the Nalanda master Atisha Tipamkara. So Atisha Tipamkara, who was the prince of a kingdom in West Bengal, later he came to Nalanda to study Buddhist philosophy, and so it is said that once when he was in Bodh Gaya, at the Bodh Gaya, he encountered an idol of a statue or an idol of Arya Tara who was naturally uttering speech. And so, in the sort of like the premonition or the instruction that was given to him by Arya Tara, it was said that you need to travel to Tibet for the purpose of benefiting the Dharma. So therefore, you see that. So therefore, this particular instance tells us that with great devotion, one is even able to receive visions and prophetic sort of speech from the Arya Tara.
대선 당 안저게 안에 지진 드마게 안에 중렘도 된대체 지진 드마라 하는 안저게 소원만 남다 냠내 잡아나 된대 터비게 안에 누가 열에 상황적으로 또 대에나 딱 안절라 된대 그 터비게 따야 된대 고합 담아서나 누가 된대 안절라 된대 라야게 또 고합 된대 열에서 양 뒤버지는 신 섬날래 뭐라 그때 다고에나 딱 컨데스 근데 지진 드마게다 소원만 남다 그래 컨데스 냠내 잡았어요 자티 들은 게 아니에 조시적으로 대처거라.
And so Geshe said that this is a very, very brief sort of like very, very, very brief sort of the history of how Arya Tara came to be. And so now listening to this, one might have naturally come up with the question, or one might naturally wonder, since Arya Tara was able to attain a particular state of enlightenment and was able to benefit countless sentient beings, how should we practice in the footsteps of Arya Tara, and how should we supplicate and practice how should we supplicate and practice the Arya Tara in order to attain a similar enlightenment? So today's session is particularly and mainly around this particular question, which is how should I practice and supplicate to the Arya Tara in order to receive or order to accomplish a similar state of enlightenment within myself.
그래서 나 지진 드마게 지나가 뜻받는 뭐 쇼저다. 아니 산제 송되는 방법이야. 차장 안전 냠내 제동 말아. 아니 대체 지나는 지진 드마 냠내 거네 저와다 지진 드마게 아니 저 같은데 아니 왕토비엘서 아니 롱토비엘서 봐. 딘데체네 아니 소소 그냥 냠바젠 딘데토네 냠내 제지요스. tenze deje yang de khabo chaw se da yang wang len la so ba da ane cham de le so ba tenze de ya na da ta ba da de se le la ra ma shin 다 저도 저번에 telada dinde chede wangaya chatne da khare khigi tane ya khawo chawra no de chet madwana ya te mayin ba yang jang jang ne nyamle ne shamba de so so bakjolo deseda 내가 뉴발라 때네 네 체트베 때네 요르스
And so we see that when we search about different praise or eulogy on Arya Tara, we see that there are countless and numerous praises and eulogy written on Arya Tara. And so the sort of like the most core and the primary practices of any deity, including the Aryatara, stems from getting initiation, getting the transmission, getting the teachings on these transmission and ritualistic text, and later on sitting into an isolated retreat to meditate on Aryatara, to meditate on different aspect of Aryatara. Usually on the dependent on the ritualistic text that you have received and the initiation you have received. There are different practices that you need to sit down and isolate yourself and practice. But these are many practices that feels very difficult for a person that needs to balance it with their work life, with their private life, because we see that many of us who are gathered here are also a great participant in the life of in the sort of like the worldly life. So therefore, there are many obligations that we need to adhere to, which thus makes it difficult for us to entirely sort of cut ourselves from these obligation and sit down for retreat for months and months. But these are just the primary practices. There are other alternative secondary practices that one can apply oneself into, that one can participate into in order to receive the blessings and the wisdom of the Aryatara.
대체 당한 저게 디어라다 대선 당한 저게 지진 도마게 다 직소와 직답잖아 산이란 저게 연결 삼여줘라 딘데게야 안데 삼다요 말에 드레지 소가 쉬우지 몰란 잡 산이 가면 중하다 어다 데데 주말에 삼여고 딘데 삼다요 말에 네 냠래 차단데 따다 대고 말스 근데 가셔야 데 라디넬라 소소 몰람 쉬우자야 내가 따다 데블라 내가 있나 때 가래나 소소 가래 쉬어데 데글라 말아 주되 전에 야들라 초담 당에 선들에 여러스 군요요 맞아 동만요 근데 더 제단 더 제와 있는데 아니 소소게 아니 랭가 봤어야 맞다고 되게 아니 퍼져 되게 사되게 맞고 주는 말이었어 근데 제시대 아니 냠래 제단 말이었어
And so sometimes we must also understand that these practices will happen the result of these practices will gradually with time manifest themselves. To expect that to expect a result a day after supplication is utterly unrealistic. To think that I have supplicated greatly today, and then the very next morning everything will be transformed. This is a very unrealistic expectation from the practice. Similarly, Geshe said that he has heard in instances where some people who would supplicate to their own sort of like to their own sort of like deity, uh, uh, so they're the particular deity, uh, and then when the things that they have asked for have not been fulfilled, there are instances that they start arguing and sort of like scolding the deity. But this type of practice is not a genuine practice. This type of practice only leads to one's own demise, because the way these practices work, it happens eventually and gradually. It's not something that happens in one night. So therefore, sort of like doing these things like scolding, arguing with the deity and such things, they will bring out no positive outcome at all. And this will not be considered to be a genuine practice.
다 대체 다 내가 저게 아니 지지 드마라 네 뜻바시 드마 니직세 드마 니직 뜻바죠래 다 담보데 데 안에 지dan 게 먼저 배받는데 망자다 베트 존데르 된된 거지 저거 데 안에 찍네 안에 데 담보데 뒤 송게데 산제 나와난제서도 호랑게 산제 나와난제 송게네 산제 송제 치수 안에 또 마셔졌도 버게 아니 갑소야 좀 되대 숨을 이제 산재게 숨채우다 정말 예직도 봤어요. 대 안에 항상 다 산재게 숨산 질럽 랍점 뭐 쉬워져. 대 당봉아도 드린 대 탱질로 나삼스.
And so, in these compendium of many different praises and eulogy to the Tara, the one that is the one that is very familiar and practiced by many of Tibetan as their daily practice is the praise to the 21 Tara. So this particular praise is said to be spoken by the Buddha Virochana. So it is said that Buddha Virochana has spoken this particular praise or eulogy to the 21 different 21 variations of taras or 21 taras. And so before we start today's session, we're going to start by reciting the praise to 21 tara.
당연하지. 어떤 거? 데 로마니 이제 그 떠받으라. 데 지금 표현 망제 땅을 표현하는 것도 좀 전다데 인진을 열어. 되지마 아니 표현하는 냠보지 마드네마 로션데 냠보가 로 냠보 저저 정말 텐지 로샤쇼스.
So this praise, you see that the source script is in Tibetan, and then you have the phonetics, the Latin transcription, and below, which is followed by the meaning in English. So Geshe said that he's going to recite this, and he wants every one of you to, with your mic off, you can recite by looking at the transcription, along with him.
보달라에 내전에 땜예 정고 레종시 해바 메제 올라제 대소 산제 틀레마 도마 고제 시소 소 아달레메 제벤제 샤제 베모 라드네 폼바 군레 되데 베메 юм라자제 로스 제듬 파마드마라 자체로 또 저거 되네 막고 저거스.
So main praise starts from here, Chaza Dromala Chaza Droma Nyumapamo. So this is where the actual praise actually begins.
Chaza Droma Nyumapamo 제네 가제 로단다마 제대 송고 취제 자제 그사지베 로네 좀마 장자 등게 다와군도 가마제니 세베샤마 가마동다 저베나 Rabdo sebe vera pa ma sanza singe shune je je peme chane namba je jimba zude gado she ba soba samde ju nye ma sanza deshin she ba zu do taye namba je ma je male baro jimba do we je ve se je shindo de ma sanza dudara hong ye ge dudan choda nanga kama jide tumbo shabje ne je luwa me la kupe ne sanza jeje me la zamba luna nazo wancho je jombo rena desa namda nuje soje dune tem sanza jeje sanza pe je paro tungo rabdo jo ma yego yunja shabde ne Memba tuba shindo bara ma sanza tue jikpa je tuje babo namba jo ma chuje shane tunye ten tawa tamje male se ma sanza kunjo songwe sa seme tuga namba je ma male shoje kole je ranga we je zona rom Zangza rado gaba je be oje yeje tenga be ma sheba rapse duda je de wanjo ze ma Zangza seche jungwe so na tamze kuba lube nye chonye yebe jige hong ge pungba tamze namba je Sanza tabe tembo bo je jemba tamze shindo baram rebe tere ba me le taba shindo ra zema Anza kabe tama me ta babe tanga unan le ma yeje yungo kune ko daye pone namba zoma Sanza seje ngola cha ke tije nije shabje do ma tunye chinze yege hong rinpa dunpa nane ke tata dema ke ma shi ma nyanghe de je chi nye sowa omda yanda denpe dikwa chenpo zunpe nye tata kune kura ko ke daye lu ne nambara ke ye chibe ngane ke be ripa hune duma nye tata dore jamne tenpa honge namba sabi nye Ramenda Rada Beje Jede Suna Yubani Chanda Laye Soye Nam Rita Taje Chana Nam Tara Nije Peje Yege Duna Malu Bane Sise Sanja Laye Soye Jabo Lada Mia Chi Dem Kune Koja Kawa Chi Zeda Milang Ba Chanza dawe nyanda nime dawa je ba sinye pola vera se ara nye je tuda ra ye shinde tabe rimne se Chanza tenye sona ke be shibe tuda yanda de Tanda rola nye je cho na chumba tora rab cho nye Dawe nga je toba de ta chanza wata nye shio sa je 다 단다게 네 안에 도만이 지게 또 봤어 되래 다 도만이 지게 또 봤대네 대진 공도 싶었네 지금 안에 상제 송주차 되고 산재 송지차 안에 대중 산재 안에 나왔는데 맞아 또좀 되게 아니 송배게 아니 뒤나나냐 데 세대요 그래서 송 칠럽제 시부차고 다 드메 때바 망고 시원하는 다티 상마 좀 니주 째질라 네 되셔가게 또바 이버선다 다티 안에 먼저게 아 니마질라 탱직 땐좀나 야고 시버 그래서 니마질라 탱직 땐뭐좀나야 뒤다지다 직된도 딘델레 소바 네 덴토 바이나 아 소소 네 소남라 셈바 세그레 마세 네 디진 도마라 예베 토틀레 덴도 소소라 아니 주게라 소바 아 덴데 누바 셈보여
And so, as Geshe said previously, this particular 21 praise, this particular praise to 21 Taras, this is a teaching or a discourse that was directly spoken by the Buddha Vairocana as well as Buddha Shakyamuni. And this particular 21 praise to 21 this particular praise to 21 Tara is also a part of the compendium of the Tantras, which comes under the secret turning of wheel of Dharma. So therefore, since it belongs to a particular type of highest vehicle of practice, it is very beneficial to adopt this particular practice in your day-to-day life, and to supplicate and use it to supplicate and supplicate to the Tara and dedicate your merits towards the Tara in order to attain great deal of wisdom and attainment of great immeasurable amount of merits.
대선 다디야 메베라 텔레 두바네 양 도마게 안에 디요라 숭아 두베 숭아데야 데때 다 라라오라 데다 안에 숭나 안에 니메레라 통고 숨자지 달에 또 달에 또래 소하세저로 데 안에 도마게 된다니 시대지 나들레 안에 라라자 안에 저저 통로냐나 차투베라 데데 니메제레 통고 숨다 수이나다 라라오사도 삼단 텔라이나 무다난 도도라 사샤나 랑가나 도베 가서 사샤나 디고 딘데도 제 세토바이나 야고쇼요.
And so, other than this, there is also a more concise Tarani mantra of Arya Tara, which you can recite, and then which you can recite, and you can sort of like do three full cycles of the rosary. or the mala that you can do in a one day. Since the very Dharani mantra is very short, that is Om Tare Tutare Ture Swaha. So you can do the recitation if you're busy, you can do it while you're commuting from your home to workplace, or from workplace to your home. So in between that time, you can definitely complete 3 entire cycle of your mala with this particular mantra.
대체 다 대다 안에 좀 돼 똑바도 맞대 나도 거라지 잡샤나 다 대신 거는 유배가 지든 좀 말아 여대be 토티에 상마 산이라 연구를 했어야지 근데 삼다나 연구 말았어 네 아니 소소게 근데 토티에 용해라 근데 소소 원내가 아니 나사야다 아니 똑바도 되야 똑바다 나사야 되야 대양 근데 간다스던 거를 했으나 다 삼로죠라 삼로데 대화 쇼좀 보시고 그랬어
So if one would think that if I just recite the entire praise to the 21 taras, and then if I do 3 full cycle of the mantra, will the fulfillment of my aspiration happen the very next day? If you're thinking that way, that is a very unrealistic expectation from this practice. For the practice will only happen gradually with time. And then so therefore, now the more important thing is when you are reciting the praise and when you are reciting the mantra, the most important thing is your intention, the intention of doing it, the intention of reciting the mantra, the intention of reciting the praise, which becomes the utmost important factor in this entire practice.
대수는 당한 적에 다 소속에 안에 최전게 된 바이나야 근데 최제발라 네 고제 바제 먹고 싶죠 고제 바제 먹고 되는 다 제대로 말라 네 토틀레 소바다 네 제대로 또 봤대 나타 소음을 더 바이나 근데 대 최제 바제 돼야 네 봐 매바 차봐 야는 용을 차야 근데 그게 숙청 보여
So, as a practitioner of Dharma, when we apply ourselves into this practice, many different obstacles tends to stop us, tends to block us from attaining these practices. And so, supplicating to Arya Tara, Mother Arya Tara, what it does is that due to the supplication, these obstacles they sort of dissipate. Eventually, these obstacles tend to occur less and less and less until a point where these obstacles do not occur at all. So therefore, supplicating to the Arya Tara or Mother Arya Tara enables us to not only face these obstacles, but with due time, make sure that these obstacles dissipate and then finally disappear in our practice so that we can achieve and attain the fruit of our practice.
다 배치나 저 공변나 차차나 더 먹고지 더 로망 보시오지 근데 배쳤다 요들은 다 논예슈 다 숨주진데 배쳤다고도 다들 고제 바자 먹으시고 저게 아니 먹으지 배쳤다 뭐도 몰라서 내가 먹고 용 거래 근데 지단계 공변나는 건저 남제 진도 아니 공부보다 개걸어서 보던 저게 롭소제 가서는 근데 롭종 제대 아니 푸강서나 바라강서라 바라강 롭종 임바도 도도 바라강이나 대 샵데데 베데다 킬로니 som들이 채워서 보강서나 다 특파진 킬로 니도 유지 근데도 이제 샵데 채워서 다 대선다는 공변나라 공다네 저바저바게 지마들라네 저도 찍락다지 아니 토마스 망보사고라네 시라냥 불러서 보다 샵데 먹고 싶지고 다대 제대 가서는 최체라네 고제 받아줘라 때도 시에쳐도 치고
So even in the monasteries, we see that Geshe said that in the monasteries, the average monk studies from anything between 20 to 25 to 30 years to sort of like complete their studies of the text and treatise and the sutra. So in that particular period of time, which is 20 to 30 years, there are many different obstacles that these monks face. And for some monks, they face such obstacles that they need to they need to sort of like leave the monastery entirely, and then their study becomes incomplete. So therefore, usually during the sort of like the great address to the sangha in the communal hall, the abbot and the disciplinarian usually they give this advice. What they say is that a handful of study should be backed by 3 or 4 kgs of supplication and devotion, dedication. Meaning that if you want to attain the knowledge of just a handful of texts that you have studied, you need to have a backing of 2 or 3 kgs of supplication. So that shows the sheer volume of dedication and supplication that you need only to absorb the understanding and study of the treatise, which is just handful. So therefore, they tend to advise everyone that in this pursuit of wisdom, one should persevere not only in the studies but in supplication and dedication, and therefore reciting the praise of the 21 Taras, reciting the Pragyaparamita Hridaya Sutra and such, in order to back your studies so that the obstacles that may occur otherwise will be dissipated with the dedication and supplication.
대신 다가는 다 전도도 다 수도 텔라다 내가도 근데 텔라봉도 요하에 맞서서 다 지진 드말라네 소원물람다 다 그랬다고 그래서는 다 남샤 전도 안에 선배지오이나요 네 말람자 사바도 안에 소소라네 강아시 호치 차대도나 안에 지진 드말라 다 저적도 지진 드말 꾸유나래 당가요나래 그래서 대해서 매와나 가와나나 다자나나서 전에 구바산 될 말람잠 다 지진 드말 저랑나네 투자와다 년전라 속바던도 በት 심제 탐자라 니링 먹어죠 그래서 땅 단다 값수 안에 알아들이 강아들이 되더라고 싶나 뢰지 강아도이나 내가 강아들이 지도스 다 DNA 저거 내가 차를 쏘고 야나 안에 뢰지 강아들 뇽들 쏘고게 근데 저도 뭐 저랑 kin사는 진짜 샘띵네 가든 가든 멤버 샘띵을 하네 다 제제 예제 제가 전에 저도 뭐 수업만 답 네, 로마니 지금 봤던데. 또 지지르면 가다 타네. 저도 써봤다. 아니, 칼레라. 근데 아니 저런 게 레전드 나다르 강아이나레. 또 칼레 용도네. 아니. 근데 아니 남주도 맨다고 쳐스.
And so the manner of supplication. So Geshe said that since many of you are living a very fast life, meaning that you have many different obligations in your day-to-day life that you need to fulfill. So therefore, being able to supplicate for an hour and a half, that is usually done in the debate sessions, in the monastery, where after every or in the middle of the debate session, there is 1 or 1.5 hour of supplication and recitation of supplication and praises. This is simply not possible for you because of your sort of daily schedule. So in these cases, what is important is that for you to find a little bit of time in a day, you simply sit down in front of, if you have an idol of the Mother Arya Tara, you can have that idol. If you have a tanka or a portrait, you can use the portrait. And if you have none of those, you can simply search the portrait or tanka on your phone or on your computer, and then place that phone or computer in front of you. And then with great devotion and great reverence of taking refuge in Mother Arya Tara, you sit down in front of the Mother Arya Tara with folded hands, and then simply you supplicate. You supplicate, saying that, "O Mother Tara, you who have unbiased, immeasurable compassion, please look at me with that gaze, and then have me in your compassion. For you, I believe that you will be able to purify all my suffering. And then I believe that you are the one who understands my predicament and my mind at this very moment. So therefore, understanding the true state of my mind, elevate me from this suffering." And by saying that, if you may recite the prayer, the 21 praise to the 21 taras, or you can simply recite the Tarani mantra with great dedication. And if you do this with consistency each and every day, it may or may not happen the very next day, but eventually you will experience that the suffering, your physical ailment is getting better, your mental state is becoming more stable, the problems that you're facing in life is becoming less and less. So eventually, by deep, sincere with deep, sincere reverence and devotion towards the Tara, if you do these things and practice, then everything in your life that's bringing suffering to you will resolve itself, but eventually with time.
때 안에 가서 류이나 다 잠마세 네 셈나라 강아시 호지 터이더도냐 제대로 말아 타져도 안에 소원만 건도 휴원나 생게 나 소원만 잡나 안에 클릭클리 용도를 써봐 다가네 생게 안에 뉴벤저 롱저이나래 다들 때다 될라 써봤다 남미기 강아이나래 다지 건도 휴원나 생게 안에 내가 될 강아이나래 갔다 가래나다 뺐 자자자 셈다네 자자자 예체가 거네네 제대로 말아네 소원만 담다 저랑 그랑 맞다 민도스당하나 접선은 거선다 꾸지다 도지시스 아니 저랑 그 대체로지 서든 좀 띵나네 소원만 찍더니 맞아 렌렌도 잡다 된데 안에 잡아 첨부시 버렸어
And so therefore, Geshe said that not only the physical ailment, but also the mental suffering and any other manner of suffering. Maybe it is due to financial problem. Sometimes it could be because of family problem. Sometimes it could be like Geshe has given the illustration. It could be a job-related problem. So when these kind of problem arises, you simply sit down in front of Mother Arya Tara and with 100% faith and sincerity, you sit down and you supplicate to the Tara, saying that I have the faith that you are the one who can elevate me out of this situation, who can elevate me and deliver me away from this suffering. And if you do this particular thing by reciting the praise to 21 Taras or the Tarani mantra with this degree of sincerity and faith, then you will notice that those aspects of life that are giving you suffering will eventually resolve themselves, and then you will have a much happier and peaceful life.
다 응마이나 다 집중 좀 하게 네 집어 제일 줘서 네 요다 집어 제일 뺏어 다 미치 아니다 직도 쉬우셔나라 아니 신나질 도대be 가서 아니 생각 담생을 써봤던 저기 집어 영화 가서 탑시 현주는 믿으잖아요 딱 거기 네 미티가 네 지수 좀 마사지다 근데 누가 열어서 군용이 봤어요 근데 좀 띵네 짜짜짜게 소원 몰람 되잖아요 근데 네 생각 직벌에 잡세 생각 직벌에 잡았다 다가나 생각 랑보지 직받다 매 직받다 근데 류기 직받세 네 구마들이 여러 단가마이나 구마 직받 잡세라 네 종간나나 랍되냐 종간나나 시원냥들이야 근데 좀 몰라 소원 몰람 담네 네 딘데를 쳐봤다 네 추 직벌에 잡세도 딘데게 직받 제래 제베가 네 루주요 때 되는 직받 제래 점에 강사된 저거 제직도 이제 좀 몰라 소봤담네 네 총대버지래
And so there are these 8 famous instances where supplicating to a Mother Aryatara has protected someone from the danger and from the terror and the danger that they have faced. And one instance is that once a man was walking in the forest, which was infamous for having so many different wild animals, especially a lion. So he walked in that forest, and then when he feared that a lion was chasing him, he was out of all options. So at that time, he remembered that once he has heard that if you would supplicate to the Mother Aryatara, she will help you in those situations. So it is said that in that time, when all hopes were gone, when he encountered the lion, he had supplicated to Mother Aryatara, who in turn helped him overcome the situation. So therefore, in total, there are 8 different instances where someone was saved from the danger of the lion, elephant, fire, snake, thief, prison, and water, and such. So these are those 8 famous instances where someone had supplicated to Mother Aryatara and they were delivered and elevated from that particular situation of suffering.
다 대저다 된저 안에 치지고시 시야 내 되나시가 낭 찍고 제세 당간저 대시고 다 치지고다 나제세 생글을 빠지고 빠베자 네 팀목세데 안에 랑바체라 봐 팀목 낭 팀목 요라 팀목 근데 해당서데 메라 빠베자 네 차도세제 네 듀르 빼자 네 따왕에 봐서 그냥 놀리나나 셔 따왕에 봐서데 네 구마나 구마든데 따왕에 봐고네 구마 좀 적어라 세나서 버데니 통 종안의 자 담샤 버데를 배전 되자서 추지보다 배전이셔 아니 태좀세데니 샤상게다 셈보도요라 된절을 배전에도 낭라야 난게야 아니 근데 직받게 된저야 아니 난게 직받던 적에 아니 된전 소속에 셈나나 강할 때 속보다 되자시다나 속보 된저가 왕게 아니 근데 강한 마음이 형데 보라 된저 강하되게 아니 셈게 시대만 직도로 직받서 된데 도수
게슬라 탄다 디 친한기 집밥에 디차 겹치
알레
송로치다.
ngaja 생겨라 샤라 티묵데 안에 랑보체라샤 시단데 멜라체 타도데 듀체 타왕amba 콤보스나 쿠마라 콤볼 땅에데 안에 콤벨샤 페샤 쿠만 세나데 안에 짝도 종간남데 짝도 담데 버든세 근데 뇌자데 출러바 페샤 안에 대좀데 샤사 셈보셔라 어딘데 베차네 손
So these eight external in these instances of these instances which are given are the external representation of the eight internal fear that we have. So the lion represents ego, the elephant represents ignorance, the fire represents hatred, the snake represents envy, the thief represents wrong view or intention. The prison represents misery, miserly. The water represents the water.
되자래 되자래
The water represents desire, and the cannibals. Cannibals they represent doubts. So these are the instances of eight external fears and eight internal fears. The representation done by these eight instances that happened externally, but when you introspect, each of these instances can be a match to our internal fear.
당한 적에 벽에를 집었어 보라. 직서바 되게 가서 매웠어요. 그날에도. 다 되자다 시단을 쏘고 된저 왕도 요한나 생의 시대에 매웠어요. 보라. 다 칠lok에 안에 심지 따라 쏘고 하나 소소에 세다 쏘고도 막 직소라. 이제는 피어를 다직 된다 고민하면 가시. 네, 벽에를 전에 따다도 직도.
So Geshe said that the word jikpa in Tibetan context, the word jikpa has a more deeper meaning than just simply being afraid of something. It means the very word jikpa, word with the jik, it means to destroy or dissipate, something that destroys or dissipate. So in that case, it is understood as something that dissipate or destroys our peace of mind. So the word which sort of like the word that is as a counter in English for the word jikpa is usually translated as fear. But the thing is that the very nature of the language, it happens with Tibetan and English translation. What happened is, and also happens with Sanskrit and English language, what happened is many of the Sanskrit word cannot be completely translated in English because of the degree of the depth of the word in Sanskrit. English doesn't have the actual word to encompass the entire meaning. So similarly, the word jikpa in Tibetan, though translated as fear in many of the dictionary, but this does not pervade, or this does not represent the entire meaning of that particular word. But the closest is fear.
그래서 근데 제가 선장 한 적이다. 안에 딘데게 안에 직받제를 줘야 돼요. 안에 본적이 샘띵네. 지지도만 자자자 예제 체배고네. 소원만 한다고 하면 선장 안에 군절을 딘데게 줍두고. 어때선다 딱 먼저 카드 가르쳐 봐나 좀 샘띵네. 제제 야터네. 지지도만 예제 lö게더니 잡아이나. 어떤데 안에 소소 강한 카드 가르쳐 봐이나요. 근데 된데 담아다도 몇 종가 있나요? 갈리갈리라 된데 안에 뇽을 돼라 쏘봐. 안에한테 최진 신바트 정해를 쏘봐. 된데 연구다 돼.
And so, if you look at these eight instances of someone encountering the eight external fear, the dissipation or overcoming from these eight external fear was done only when the people which were encountering these situations supplicated to the Mother Arya Tara with 100% faith and sincerity. So therefore, similarly in our day-to-day life, if we were to be able to supplicate, if we were able to dedicate and supplicate to the Mother Arya Tara with 100% sincerity and when 100% devotion, then every form of suffering that we are experiencing in our day-to-day life will dissipate eventually. And we will also experience that our life will become much peaceful. There will be more opportunities that we encounter. There will be more fulfillment in our lives. So this will this will happen eventually only if you supplicate and you devote yourself to Mother Arya Tara with 100% sincerity and faith.
대선자 다치 단계 안에 산제다 창조서만 뭐 효저 유변나네 지지 드마라 닌데 그 조만만 자와나 토틀에 두변라네 현다 체도 박박하네 뉴르보쇼여서 대선자네 지지 드마데 이담 때네 근데 다 나가면은 아니 뭐뭐쇼 총을 다고도 최전에나 최의 숙점 매와이나 지지 드마라는 소만람다네 소소 그대 뭐뭐 드바다네 루주 뭐뭐셔였다.
And so, out of these countless Buddhas that we have, generally having countless Buddhas in Buddhism, especially supplicating, especially practicing the Mother Arya Tara, results in a very swift accomplishment of one's desire and aspiration. And that is the reason why even in the ancient time there were many who would take Mother Arya Tara as their sacred as their sacred deity. The term the term that directly counters this word is in Sanskrit, which is Isht Dev or Isht Devi. So particularly this Isht Devi or the sacred deity take up them as Mother Arya Tara as the Isht Devi and then to devote their life to the practice of Mother Arya Tara.
이제 다른 애가 저기 도명가야라 딸이 도래 소하 라지 책대잖아 세바 되게다 룡아 예숨 답에 마닥발 룡아 예숨다 답에 룡아 예숨 성으로 다 딘데스ون이제 딸이 세바 되게 아니 도마서다 코발레 트바를 딸에서는 따라려고 다 찍고 있잖아 딸에서 와데 도마서다 코발레 트바세 두다라에서 바되게 아니 직바 제일 쏘고 아니 강아 탐제라 아니 쪼와쳐방 트바체게 되게 제바다 템베게 아니 간사돼 있어다 직니바데 또레서 바되게 아니 내달 쏘고다 소소 강아라 카레나 쏘고다 적보뉴도 마트드베 뉴르마서라 또레에서지다 자가 산스크리트를 뚜란데 세죠 근데 인거라 답에 힌디가를 지려도 니나시 적보쇼지마 아니 내가 강하나 소바던데 아니 트트버 임에서다 드레스지 아니 소화서바네 된대게 아니 탐자네 시와쳐봐 아니 세와쳐봐 어 된대게 아니 강사지를 서 된대도 오지만 셈나나 템베도네 아니 나한테 당하이나 누가 된대 잡아서 못.
And so now, if we look at the Tarani mantra of Mother Arya Tara, it's Om Tare Tutare Ture Swaha. So the first syllable, Om, it represents the tainted body, speech, and mind of the practitioner. And then it also represents the purified body, speech, and mind that we receive from the Tara. So the purified body, speech, and mind that we receive from the Tara. And then Tare represents the one who is the liberator. So in this case, the Tara, so the one who is the liberator. Tutare, which represents the one who has within themselves the infinite, the immeasurable, unbiased compassion or karuna, which through the vision of which, through the lens of which one delivers the sentient beings out of the 8 fears. And then Ture. So Geshe said that the Ture, which according to the etymology might logically mean the word in Hindi we use to say Turant, which means swiftly, immediately. So Geshe said today, the Sanskrit syllable, it means swiftly delivering, meaning that this particular deliverance from these fear and suffering or is not done in a very long span of time. It is done swiftly. So the ability of Tara to deliver us from these suffering in a very swift manner is Ture. And then Swaha means the one who is able to dissolve all of these things, these fears and suffering, and deliver us and liberate us. So, therefore, this is the meaning of the syllable Om Tare, Tu Tare, Ture Swaha.
이제 다 디더에나 소소체도 다 나한테 사야라 소바다 되게 아니 생활 사야라 다가네 지금 좀 이제 그때 받아는 소소 되잖아 되고 전화다 제 배우나라 이게 책지도 책대 아니 눈다지라 책대 책책 샘도한다 야고시오 눈다지 책책 샘서나 로지도 다 깔라거라 샘터로 아니 다바 벤안 벽에 나라 당한테 되셔봐이나 정말 한 삼다나 가서 벽에 벽에 뭐야 샵된데 드마게 샵된 집에 가서 냠못 되는다 된대 채워요.
So Geshe said that if you can persevere, formally, if you practice the Dharani mantra of the Mother Arya Tara, if you do so with these particular understanding, the result will be much more profound than simply reciting the syllable. And then secondary, if you can persevere, Geshe is suggesting that if you can memorize one line of the praise to 21 Tara. So out of the entire thing, you can memorize one line each week. So since a year has 54 weeks, so you'll be able to memorize 54 lines out of that praise of 21 Tara. And when you are able to, and 1 week, because not only memorizing it, but being able to polish the pronunciation in Tibetan. So once you're able to memorize the entire thing, then once you sit down with, let's say, monks who come to visit or Tibetan people who are doing the 21 praise to Tara, you can sit down and recite the same with them.
근데 제가 지나양 먼저 베베게 지도 날라 자샤나 다양 따라 도마게 초가 되졌어요. 다 소소 내가 같이 보이는 야데 드베체도 근데 되졌다게 되네 로소요래. 근데 따는 소소게 잠들 가린다 런지 드베를 쏘고 제와이주라 근데게 제게 로소요래. 그래서 난 먼저야 남제 삼다 치고래. 다다네 진짜 구베나랑 먼저 야데 산달랑 먼저야 도마게 샵된 샤고 섬서 안에 소소하네 제
And so the ritualistic puja of Dharma, which we usually call Dul Chok. So Dul, which is Dharma, Chok, which refers to the ritualistic puja. So the ritualistic puja of the Dharma is something that is very common in the Tibetan community. So whenever someone is either applying for something important, or if someone is facing a problem in their life, they usually ask the monks to do this particular ritual. So this dolcho is something that is considered very helpful and swift in delivering a relief. And so Geshe said that in this September, Geshe said that he has plans of doing the similar ritual at the center. So anyone who wishes to join could join the puja, the ritualistic puja on that month.
대제다 대제 콘도시원에 셔리다 잡된다도 제도면 소소원에 대 콘도시원에 저게 로마게 안에 니슈테지 또 받대 된도 봐서 남산대 배가는 메도나 된다들 직스마 아니 인진나 텐션 로션나 되거라 정말 정말 심트와이나 아니 줄라 다가라마 된샤나 그쪽으로 거는 된 쪽으로 대직제 다만에 이제 네 가보셔도나 아니 나한테 스테망아데 동대거라 대사 안에 자만한 마세 저거데 셈나네 셈띵네 자자자 예제다 대화다 대고네 제와이나 채와쇼스.
And so Geshe said that so you can devote your time in a week to memorize these lines and slowly and eventually be able to memorize the entire 21 praise to 21 Tara. So eventually you can memorize the entire thing. And so if you feel that you cannot memorize it, then it's not a problem. You can simply recite the Tarani mantra. You can recite the mantra, but the recitation should not simply be recitation without any intention or visualization. It should be done with proper visualization and intention, which is supported by 100% sincerity and devotion to the Tara.
근데 다 신바양 디버트네 양 디버트네 되겠어.
So Geshe said that if anyone has question regarding today's session, then they may ask question now.
디버 메사라다 저다 네 도마니 휴자직세죠. 도마니 휴자직세데 지단 그 총림데 딘데 지어다 네마 파고체네시 파고체네시 다 심제 장래 되버잖니 타변하는 바 그렇잖니 다 니마지가네 다데 다 거반나나 셈제 다 지단 제나다 타발라 만나 배워이나 들이 용도고 최고로 다 셈제 갈라간다 용차 열에서 마직 세두전에 거발라 셈제 아닌 것만 나지 란자도 좀 받아 용도벽에 나와서 맞아도네 박바전에 배 셈조 하나씩 전잡쇼 세드 셈저 전잡세는 전잡되고 왔다 망고 쇼 세드잖아 근데 대 추도 차례서 추도 종종 등부도 네나라는 메다 배마치 통내서 메다 배마들라 네 담아 다 담아서 그러 어딘데 아니 야가도 어디 니슈제직레라 아니 메다라리 통네 어디 메다라리네 아니 제대로 말해리 통 도만 유자직 된다통 아니 제도 도만 유자직 아니 바바체네서다 바바체네서다 아니데 투 아니 좋아하는 거 말했어 도바sem제가 되지 먼저 향게 아니 먼저가 아니 토치기 있어 되는 남바고도 먼저 토치기 있어 어딘데서 이걸 주죠 도만 유자직 총단도
So Geshe said that many of you may wonder when we say Tara, there are 21 Taras. So what is the origin of these 21 Taras? So it is said that many millennium ago, Arya Avalokiteshvara, after he had liberated countless beings from the samsara, he thought, okay, now I have liberated a very significant amount of sentient beings. So now, if I look back, maybe I can see that there is a significant number of sentient beings which have decreased from the samsara. But when he looked back into the samsara, he saw that the number of sentient beings was the same as it was when he's sentient beings. So he felt a deep sense of sort of sorrow at that time. And it's said that during that time he shed tears. So his tears, what it did is that as it fell on the ground, it formed a pool. And from that pool, there was the emergence of a lotus flower. And then this lotus had 21 different branches. And each of these different branches bore one flower and lotus flower. And then from the center of the lotus flower, of each of these lotus flower, the 21 taras were born from them or emerged from them. And then the 21 taras, they consoled the Avalokiteshvara, saying that you don't need to feel sorrow, for if there is endless sentient beings, we will assist you in liberating all of them. So this particular record tells us the origin of the 21 taras.
근데 당한 내생이 다 정말 아니 하나 토마토네 아니 세트베요 세다 학바도 아니 저가르도 자셔봐나 세글라서 그랬어 다 세는 것도 주도 아니 저가랑 하사네 제대로 좀 말라 소범을 담다바이나 소저게 아니 세 정부 때를 써고요 근데 이렇게 해봐요
And so, through the practice of the Tara, one can also increase their life. They can attain longevity. Because especially out of the 21 Taras, the white Tara is known as the deity of long life, one of the trio in the deity of long life. So therefore, if one is supplicating and doing pujas to the white Tara, they can attain a long, healthy life.
다 지당 완전히 다 누가 메라시 장조 선바다 소바 다좀 먹고지 누가 yana 소소의 균원 롱조 쇼고치 균원 롱조에 지라면서 체력부 되고서나 균원 롱조에 대한 책은 누구를 바로 줄세죠. 안에 체력부 되네 다시라 처음에도 삼삼도 제 딜라 균원 롱조에 파세네 심발 팬도 뭐뭐였나 체 통도 전에 균원 롱조 쇼 좀 못해 체 롱조에 균원 롱조를 파줄 균원 롱조에 체를 파주에 된대게 되어도 되죠. 먼저로 되면 sonda 다 체력부 되고요나 첼라던 전에 아니 소함을 담다와이나 지준 저거라 세바메 남자 말아서 어전절이야 소함을 담다와이나 소 체력부 되를 소고 된대 채워요.
So, therefore, for us, since we don't have that ability, but it is said that in earlier times, in old times, the arahats and the bodhisattvas, what they could do is that if they feel like they need to live longer for the sake of the sentient beings, they could do is that they could transform their wealth into life. So they could transform their wealth, the wealth that they have accumulated, they could transform that into the lifespan. They could live longer using that. Similarly, if certain bodhisattva and arahat feels that that their life was too long, that they could benefit the sentient beings more if they had more sort of like wealth, and if they had wealth that they could utilize to help the sentient beings better, they could actually exchange their life for wealth and then use it for the purpose of the sentient beings. But those are only possible for the bodhisattvas and the arahats in those times. Right now, we don't have that ability. So therefore, for us, if we want to attain a longer life, maybe for the purpose of our personal practice, or in order to benefit others, we can do so by supplicating to the White Tara, supplicating to the Amatayas and Namgyalma, the trio known as the deities, the trio of the deities of the long life and longevity, in order to increase our lifespan, not only increase but a healthy lifespan.
대체 다들 가서 담아들라 가서 대체다 제제 드마게 가져라 대 유세직 사이언스 뭐
So finally, before we end the session, Geshe said that we're going to recite the Tarani mantra of Arya Tara 21 times.
지단계 다른 나사가 가서야 대가 저게 돼 두지 배당 체세 저다 위슐라정도 근데 체죠 두지 배당 체 주제 좀 맞서서 울체 땅아사가 가서 주제 좀만에 두지 달 속고 윤팝네 수르 나로라 르다 셈게 남게 아니 동아다 강하다 차장 세서 삼배던에 나한테 싸대바이나 두지네 맞춘데 두지가 정말 대수 줄수 삼바치 근데게는 몇바체네 아야 디안 누가 첨부였어.
So in particularly the generative stage of the tantra, there is a particular stage before we do any practice. It's called the purification. In Hindi, we call it shuddhikaran. So we do that purification by visualizing the particular Ishtadev or the deity on the crown of our head, and then from the depending on different tantra, if it's depending on different school of tantra, there will be visualization of a single deity, or there would be visualization of a deity as a couple. So in this case, we visualize Arya Tara at the crown of our head, and then from the within the Arya Tara, we visualize the sort of like the Amrita or the elixir flowing from the Arya Tara, entering our crown and then purifying our nadis and channels. That's called the Duzi Bebjang, Duzi, which is Amrita, Bebjang, which is Shuddhikaran. So Amrita Shuddhikaran or purification. So you can do the recitation of the mantra whilst doing the visualization of the Amrita Shuddhikaran.
근데 집에 가서 안에 소소하게 안에 르나자다 샘제 동알아서 탐제다 추기 안에 탁바트거나 저게 뭐 다소 선배 매바거나 안에 데 싸도 봐이나 누가 참 보셔.
And if you would visualize this and visualize that as the particular nectar or the amrit enters your body and purifies it, it not only purifies the physical ailment, it purifies the stains of the affliction. It purifies the negative karma and all the suffering that you have endured. It cleans it everything. It purifies it completely. So that if you would recite the mantra with this visualization, it becomes highly beneficial.
So science.
So now we're going to recite the mantra, the Dharani mantra of Arya Tara.
Ladala meje benji, shajepe mula dene, pomakun le dama, domenium la chate lo, dare, dore so, dare, dore so, dare, dore so, dare, dore so, dare, dore so. Dare dare so 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 어다데 안에 제대로 명하데 정말 정성 안에 도저히 동의로 세송 대선장 안제 안에 다 드린 거 안에 안제 대 지전도마다 대배고네 장 안제 최세세 총례 대선단 네 먼저 그는 선바지고네 체험을 쏟아 안에 개발럽 좀 쉬어요 사바든 안에 몽발안에 지전도마게 안에 공방원도 제게 교류 도와 쇼스 안에 된대게 안에 뭐받아 제배고네 안에 안제게 뭐받대 줘라 어딘데 시행스
So Geshe said that. So now, since we have already done the recitation of the Dharani mantras, and then it seems that it also has reached the time for the end of the session. He said that today's session is a very meritorious session because everyone who has gathered here has done so with a selfless with a selfless intention. And so therefore this particular action becomes great with that particular intention, and therefore every one of you who have participated for today's session has accumulated a great deal of merits. So now with these merits, it's important to dedicate. So in relevance to the session that we have, Geshe said that let us all dedicate the merits that we have accumulated towards the attainment of the state of the Arya Tara, that may all of us who have gathered today eventually would manifest into the Tara herself.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, Geshe, we can move for the dedication prayers after this.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the wonderful session, Geshe. Please join me for the dedication prayers. I'll share my screen. Yeah. Dedication prayers from Shanti Deva's way of the Bodhisattva. May all beings everywhere, plagued by suffering of body and mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or even fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked flying May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food, may the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvest. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then, may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Thank you once again. And our center runs on your generous donations. So please reach out to us in case any one of you wishes to, uh, send some donation. And I would like to say thank you to Venerable Geshe Lobsang Tenzin La for the precious teachings. And thank you, Tenzin Lakpala, for the translations. And thank you, dear Sangha, for joining us. And we appreciate your seeking spirit to learn. And thank you all, Menlhai Jamtse team members, for your support in conducting today's meeting, especially Tashila Tensenla. Thank you so much once again. Yeah.
Thank you, Minalanje and Tenzin Lakpala. And thank you, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe.
Thank
Thank you, Gesala. Thank you. Thank you, Thank you. Thank you, Manali.